Hey you guys, and welcome back to another recipe of the week video. My name is Marissa. If you are new here, I am a pharmacist and health coach, and each week I am sharing a recipe or meal idea to inspire you to get cooking in your kitchen and that healthy food can be delicious, simple, and fun. So this week we are making sweet potato breakfast cookies. I got this recipe from another food blog and I will link it down below. So before I ever start cooking or baking, I do like to gather all of my ingredients together, mixing bowls, measuring spoons, anything I need in order to make the recipe, because it just makes the cooking and baking process so much easier and a lot more fun. So we're going to start by mashing up some cooked sweet potatoes. I already had baked whole sweet potatoes the weekend prior, and then this way I didn't have to cook them the day that I wanted to make these cookies. I also had some for dinner on that particular day that I baked them, so it just kind of worked out, and I just meal prepped a couple extra for these cookies. Really all I did was rinse sweet potatoes under cold water, pat them dry with a towel, and then wrap them in foil paper, and then I baked them in the oven at 350 degrees for about 2 hours. If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to take a shorter approach to cooking sweet potatoes, I totally get it. You could instead just peel them, chop them into big cubes, and then boil them in water until they are fork tender, allow them to cool a little bit, and then you could just mash them up. As you saw, the skin easily peeled off after they were cooked, and then I just used a fork to mash them up. You need 1 cup of mashed sweet potatoes, so once you have that, you can add that into a mixing bowl, and then next you are going to melt some coconut oil. You can also use avocado oil, but I personally love to use coconut oil for baking. I melted that in the microwave. You can also melt it in a pot on the stove, and then once that's melted, you're going to add it into the mixing bowl, and then you're going to pour in honey and vanilla extract, and then mix this all together. Now in a different mixing bowl, we are going to mix all of our dry ingredients together. So you're going to add in some rolled oats. I'm using quick cooking oats here because I find them easier to chew, but you can use either one. Next, add in some almond flour, and then you're going to need to put in some oat flour. There are 3 ways to get oat flour that I know of, and one of them is that you can just buy pre-made oat flour. I used to do this, but it got pretty pricey. Then I switched over to just blending instant oats in the food processor, which worked, but I could just never get it to be as smooth as the store-bought oat flour was. And then I started to actually just mill my own oat flour at home. Once I got my grain mill, it comes out very smooth and it's very fresh, and I just really enjoy that. Something fun that I have started doing is just placing a dry measuring cup in the bowl that collects the milled flour, and then this way I can measure exactly how much I will need to mill. It's not always perfect, as you can see, but it does help me gauge it. I do love my grain mill. I use it almost every single day. I got it from Nutrimel, and if you would like to get one for your home, then you can use my affiliate link, which is in the description box, and my discount code simply20 to save $20 off your order. So then you're going to add the oat flour into the mixing bowl along with some ground cinnamon, some baking powder, salt, and ground ginger, and then you're going to use a whisk to blend this all together. Next, we are going to add the sweet potato mixture into the bowl with the dry ingredients. The coconut oil solidified a little in the bowl with the sweet potato because they had just come out of the refrigerator, and I like to leave these little clips in just so you guys know that, like, you know, things happen in the kitchen. It's okay. Just keep going. Then use a spoon to mix this all together. You can also just use your hands. I found this to be a lot easier just using my hands because the cookie dough, at least for me, was fairly on the thick side. And then the last thing that we need to do before we go ahead and start cooking or baking these cookies is we need to add in our little extras. So I roughly chopped up some raw pecans, and then I tossed them in the bowl, and then I also had some raisins that I put in there too. The original recipe calls for chocolate chips and I think pecans, but for a breakfast cookie, I personally just didn't really want to have chocolate in there, so I just put in raisins instead, but you do you, and if you like chocolate, then you go for it. Then you can use a cookie scooper to, first mix it all together and then use a cookie scooper to place the cookies onto a cookie sheet. I used a silicone baking mat, so I didn't have to grease it, but if you are using foil paper or something else, then I would grease it just to make sure that the cookies don't stick. And then at the very end, you can use your fingers to press the cookies down a little bit so that they all cook evenly. And then you are going to bake these in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. Once done, they will look golden brown on the bottom, and the edges are going to have a nice, satisfying crunch, which, if I'm being honest, is kind of like my favorite part of these cookies. I love crunchy, like that, just the texture of it. I just find crunchy foods to be so satisfying. And then you can go ahead and eat as many as you'd like, and after they cool completely, you can add them into a freezer safe bag and store them in the freezer. This way they stay fresh all week long. And that is this week's recipe. The link for all of the measurements is listed down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and let me know what other recipes you'd like to see me make by commenting down below. If you'd like to see my meal prep tips and tricks for making healthy eating happen each week, then make sure to click on this video right here. Otherwise, I hope to see you guys in my next video, and as always, stay well, my friends. Bye.